final patch is coming to Destiny 2 on June 9th. So, I want to talk about subclass changes I'd love to see for PvP, starting off with Strand. Strand Hunter I think is the perfect subclass as far as Strand goes. It's high risk, high reward. I would just make it so you can use your grapple as many times as you want in Super without having to touch the ground. The way I see Strand Titan is it's medium risk for low reward, so I'd love to see baked into the subclass more ways to get Woven Mail on Suspend. I'd love to see a Banner of War buff slightly, and maybe one of the aspects reworked, or a brand new aspect that gives it a neutral game that doesn't require a kill. Strand Warlock is an example of low risk, high reward. Near invincibility, with speed, with a helmet that allows you to suspend a whole group of people and your bugs to finish them all off with the touch of a button. Something needs to be touched, either the cooldown, the bug, damage, or there needs to be an animation between Weave Walk and going into the Rift. Now we're on to the other flavor of darkness. For me, Stasis is about control and CC, and nothing does that better than Shadebinder. The only two changes I'd want to happen to them is I'd like their cold snaps to be a little bit more consistent, so Ozymancy has a reason to be run. And I'd love if their bonus shatter damage that's happening in Super, that's a bug in PvP, would be reverted. Revenant. I don't think it is a bad subclass, but I do think it's the weakest of the three Stasis subclasses. I think that if we gave it melee ability chunks on killing slowed targets, then on top of that make the Stasis Super just a little bit more intelligent and would search out players when there's no more players after it gets a kill, and then adding another fragment slot to Shatter Dive. Behemoth, my beloved, my favorite subclass. You're usually using Tectonic Harvest in PvE and PvP, so I'd love it if Cryoclasm kind of got the ability that when it slid, you had a timer to get a precision final blow, much like Hunters used to have for True Sight, and then that would give you a stack of Frost Armor. I think that'd be pretty cool, and with just one stack that's 2%, that's not a huge deal in PvP, but could become a big deal. Now for Shiver Strike, since you're not going to be able to have double charges anymore, I would like it if you got 70% of the energy back, because you're not going to spawn in with 2, so you're not going to be able to do 3 Shiver Strikes back to back with Howl the Storm. So I'd love it if they would, at the very least, if you're not running that aspect, let you have the 70% return like you used to. And then for me, I just strongly disagree with the Diamond Lance changes. I understand maybe they shouldn't be a thing, but I think that was a flavor, I think that was a movement tech, and I would really love it if they would bring back glaive skating. But I understand I'm a little biased because it's my favorite subclass. What do you think? The changes I want to Solar subclass are simple. Hunter, you guys are going to say this exactly the same, except we're going to buff Blade Barrage, give it a blade in each barrage. For Warlocks, I would like to give you guys both your Icarus stashes back and Snap Skating. And for Titan, Laurelie's made it so Sunspots got killed. Keep Laurelie's dead, unnerf that, and buff it. We're going to make it so throwing hammers have a little bit more tracking, so they're a little bit more consistent. We're going to convert both supers into one to be the Taken King super, and we're going to add Blink to Solar because the Titan class doesn't have Blink yet. And I think that would be extra spicy for a subclass that is iconic and has been one of the worst subclasses in the game for a long time. Void is also pretty easy for me. So for Hunters, I would make it so you guys are a little bit more visible, increase the cooldown if you have the Invis dodge equipped, and make it so your smokes no longer blind people. For Warlocks, I like the changes that Bungie are already doing, but I would add to it that the aspect that gives you a buffed grenade and 2 grenades should not be the same aspect. You should be choosing between buffing your grenade and having 2 of them. You shouldn't have 2 buffed grenades. For Titan, maybe we could talk about reducing the overshield slightly, but I think the only thing that I really care about is I think Bubble needs a rework, and I'm excited to see what their rework is going to be because they've already confirmed that. But for me, it'd be kind of cool if it was like a hamster wheel where they could like put their arms out, they can't attack or anything, and then they could move it around. I don't know. We'll see. For Arc, I think it's pretty simple. I think for Hunters, I think they're pretty good. I think their supers are good. Their melee is a little strong. I would reduce the damage of Tempest Strike or interact with the Jolt in PvP because sometimes it feels like you just one-shot a crowd. I would add to one of the aspects that buff the grenades because grenades are kind of not great. For Arc Warlock, the problem with Arc Warlock, there isn't a reason to play it when Prismatic exists. So what I would do is I'd make it so it's the only one that can have multiple charges of the electric slide unless prismatic is in transcendence. So it'd be only one from neutral. And then when it pops its rift, it would become amplified so that your buddies would automatically always be super buddies when you pop your rift. And I think that would add a lot of value to the subclass. For Titan, I think the knockout changes were good, and I am so happy. But because they're losing their lunge, so should the hunters. Now, I would add frontal assault back to Titan. That's the one that gave you reload speed, stability, and reload your weapons on hit. But I would also give it inertia override. That's where you would slide over special bricks, and then you'd get a little bit of a damage buff. I just miss it. I had always hoped for Prismatic it would have like a deal where maybe every season they get different aspects or abilities, but that hasn't been the case. So we're going to go through them each one by one. So Titan, it's losing Knockout and Diamond Lance because they're both getting a nerf. And it doesn't really have a lot of good aspects for PvP on there, so I'd hope that they would bring some more to the subclass. Warlock is basically perfect. I'm not going to reiterate the changes I would have to do with the electric slide, but other than that, I think it's great. Maybe add an aspect that would allow it to have a little bit more subclass synergy, and then replace Slova Bomb with regular Nova Bomb, or Nova Warp. That would be insane. And then for Hunter, I think it's basically perfect, but I would love to add like another roaming super to it. Other than that, that's all I would do to Prismatic. I think it's already plenty strong. Don't be wrong, join the pond, quack quack, mother duckers.